The whole idea about humor, especially political satire, is to strip the power from the fake respect that they demand from people. The authoritarian kind of power, whether that is in the Middle East or the Arab world, which is like truly authoritarian, or in the Europe or in America, which is kind of a hidden authoritarian, the way that they hold space over or hold power over people is that they say, we are this, we are that, we are powerful, we are free, we are. When humor comes in and destroys all of that. So the job of the humor is not to make them crumble, is to show the people that they are lying.
We'll now receive questions from the audience. So please raise your hand if you have any questions.
What do you think of the student encampments that were built around
About,
the world?
sorry, what?
The student encampments that students built around the world for Palestine and here in Oxford.
Well, I can talk about what happened in the American University. Again, this is a classic example of misleading propaganda, because let's say, for example, about what happened in the University of Columbia. They talk about the encampment, but they don't talk about the chemical weapon attack that happened on 8 Colombian students by skunk water. And it was carried out by 2 ex-IDF soldiers who are now students in Colombia. And they used skunk water, which is produced by an Israeli company called Odortech. Nobody, and 8 students in Colombia were hospitalized. They don't talk about that. The same way you talk about they talk about the reaction, but they don't talk about what happened, what led to that. They don't talk about Annalise Orlick, who's a Jewish professor she's 65 years old, and she presided over the Jewish studies department, and she was beaten and arrested and handcuffed by police. They don't talk about the Jewish bloc, the 750 Jewish students who signed the petition supporting the encampments. They always want to make it as like Jews against everybody else. And it is sad, because what we have seen is that everything that the Western world has said about freedom of expression, the freedom of assembly, the freedom to express yourself, has completely been destroyed in these, because we have seen police coming to remove them. I mean, if these scenes were in China or in Russia or in the Arab world, we'd have never been, like, we'd never like hear the end of it. And and we've seen the Jewish billionaires who are pro-Israel pressuring the universities and pressuring even companies not to hire those people. So it's very sad. It's very sad how it's again, this is one of the biggest revelations that you said, all right, all of the stuff that you're telling us about the Western world is it's not true. Yes, you ask. Yes.
So first of all, thank you, because personally thank you, because you bring a very smart angle to the narrative, and we need that.
Get to the question. Get to the question.
The question is.
كفاية تعريس.
That's true. Anyway, second one.
I'm just like I don't take compliments. I don't take compliments very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't the compliment.
I'm very, like you said, thank you, you're a smart person. It's like, you're going there. No. Okay.
The question is, you're right, and we feel helpless a bit, because mostly all what we can do is just
talk and scream.
Have a point of view. And maybe as Arabs we're good at it, because beyond being chauvinist, we're also loud and spontaneous. So it might be a good job for us. Now, do you think there is a better job that you personally can do when it comes to collaboration? Like, there are many Arab or Middle Eastern, or it doesn't matter, people who are supportive of your point of view, who also can help create more noise, more meaningful noise.
Like what, for example? Like, give me an example.
Like, I don't know.
Yani, for example, like just 2 weeks ago, I released a rap song with Amjad Noor, if you know him, the one that Bibi's trial, the ICC song. And that's an example of what you said. Amjad Noor is a Sudanese, very, very, very talented rapper and lyricist and writer. And he wrote the song, he brought it to me, and we kind of worked in together. And I actually traveled to Istanbul. This song was shot in Istanbul. And I went on my own dime, went to Istanbul to be with him. So that's a kind of a collaboration that you're talking about. And I want that to continue because, you know, as you said, there is nothing else we can do other than being as creative and as entertaining, as informative as we can. So yeah, I've been trying to do this.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
Do you
you.
have an agent in the UK?
What?
Do you have an agent in the UK?
An interest? Agent. Agent? My agent in the States. Talk to my agents, yes.
Could you have the member in the third row?
Hello, sorry, I don't really have a voice, so I'm going to try. But I just wanted to ask that it's been a year of the genocide, and it seems like every day we see the same level of brutality and violence. And I know you're a bit hesitant to talk about the future, but what do you see? Where from here? Where do we go with?
Where do we go?
Yeah, what's the future?
What's the future?
I mean, like,
Is there a future?
like where from here? Where
I
do we
don't
go?
know. Well, here's the thing. I've been asked about this since I was in Egypt, and the sad thing about things is that if someone doing comedy and he's on television, for some reason people want to hear his opinion, which is very sad. And then I get asked this question: what's gonna be happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen in the future? It's like I don't know if I'm gonna pay my mortgage. So, so the whole idea of I have learned one thing. How many people here are from Egypt? Yeah. So if you're from Egypt, you would have known the kind of like hope that we had in the beginning, and the kind of like, oh my God, where are we going? And I get asked this question, it's like, where are we going? It's like nobody knows. And I think like, especially since the Arab Spring, for those of you who remember, still there, but I think our predictions have failed. No one have actually predicted that the whole world would shut down under a pandemic. No one had predicted that we see like the beginning of Third World War. Nobody has predicted to see that kind of depravity that we see every day, that the world would actually sit there and like not do anything about it. I think that we are in a very new territory where our views about the world and what we thought the world is not true. And we're kind of like getting to terms to it day by day. And we are the reason why we're horrified when you see these scenes from Lebanon and Palestine, that we thought that the free world told us that will not happen again, that we're not going to allow this again. But it's fake. So I think we are kind of like still dealing with the shock that whatever we were told that the world is not there anymore. So how can we predict a future where whatever elements that you thought they had is not there anymore? Yeah. So guys, expect a very depressing answer whenever you get into these areas. Yes.
More remember all the way at the back?
More depressing people.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So you talked at the beginning, is the alleging that the Zionists and the media is lying about the narrative. And I think leaving aside politicians, generally journalists don't think that they're lying, I think. And so where do you see some truth in their perspective, or where do you think it's coming from? And I guess where do you see room for mutual understanding or open-mindedness in finding a resolution eventually to the conflict?
I think his question is, where do you see any common ground that we can achieve that would help us towards the two-state solution? That's what I heard.
Was that any common ground to achieve any hope for two-state solution? Is that the question?
It was a bit more open than that. Eventual resolution of some sort. Where do you see the room for mutual understanding, or the role of mutual understanding in that?
I'm not hearing anything.
I don't think he's asking about the two-state solution. He's asking if there is any common ground to reach a resolution of the conflict. I think that's
any common ground to reach a resolution to the conflict. Well, I said this many times in many interviews. There is, I think, a book by Barack Obama, and he said the problem with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is that one side is too strong and the other side is too weak. One side has all of the resources and all of the power, and the other side has nothing. So if you're that strong, why would you compromise? If you're that strong and nobody, you have, basically Israel has no natural predator, to put it in very simple form. And this is not conspiracy theory, it's happening in front of us. They completely control the American government. The American government has sent so much weapon to both Ukraine and Israel that they are having an ammunition shortage. If China went into Taiwan today, the US will be screwed. So the fact that you have the Zionist lobby is so strong that they would send $26 billion to Israel, and FEMA would send $100 million to the victims of the hurricane in South Carolina, that tells you everything that you need to know. That the Israeli interest is much more important than the American interest. Because if you control who write the law, you have control. And I know a lot of people like, that's conspiracy, that's too much. What's a country, how is a country ruled? It's ruled by a government. What is a government composed of? Individuals. If you buy enough individuals, you will control the country. It's as simple as that. And I'm not saying this like, I'm not, AIPAC brags about the fact that 80% of the people in the House and Congress are financed by them. So why would they listen to me, a voter, while they're being financed from someone else? So this is the kind of power that you're dealing with. You're not dealing with Israel. You're dealing with Israel and a whole reserve in being the superpower of the world. Why would the superpower of the world have to compromise? I think that's the problem that we have. And I don't know what's the way out of it. Because, and I said that on Piers Morgan also yesterday, I said it's not just the US, the UK, 13 out of 25 members of the cabinet are financed by Israeli lobbies, including the prime minister, the deputy, his deputy, the chancellor, the home secretary, the foreign secretary, and the secretary of treasury, which they actually oversee shipping of our arms. And 126 out of 355 of MPs are financed by Israeli lobbies. And they have paid, the Israeli lobbies have paid for 187 occasions sending those people for trips to Israel. So when I say it's an occupation, I don't mean an occupation for Palestine, it's occupation for the world system. And it's, and I don't care if they tell like kind of conspiracy theories, they're already bragging about it in front of our eyes. And I'm sick and tired of when we talk about something that's right in front of our eyes, and then they tell you that you're conspiracy theorists or deranged. It's like 100% gaslighting. So that's the problem that we have. One side is too strong, and one side has nothing.
Thank you, Bاسم. Could we have the member on the actors bench?
I like the member. The member. The member. ده بقيت بريطانيا أوي يا إبراهيم. بقيت بريطانيا. The member.
بابا بيقول كده.
Many years ago. It was the first time I heard someone speak.
How old were you, man, at the time?
I must have been 6 years old, 7 years old.
Yeah. You laughed because they laughed, but you didn't understand anything.
I had no idea what was going on. I wanted to watch Cartoon Network. But, so I wanted to ask you, has your political thinking sort of shifted from that point? I remember there were some quite controversial takes that you would deliver, especially about Mursi or the Rabi' massacre. So I just want to ask, has your political thinking, especially about Egypt or the broader sort of Arab world, shifted since then?
But wait, can you please be more specific? What is the controversial thing about Mursi and Rabi'?
I just mean in the sense of, not necessarily my opinion, but in general, it caused a lot of discourse about it, a lot of discussion about it. For example, your criticism of Mursi, not supporting Mursi, just saying that your criticism of him and obviously the political turmoil that happened in Egypt in 2013, has your political thinking shifted from that point?
Well, I will have to give context for the people who didn't follow, because I will have to explain to them. What's your name, Habib? Zaid. So what Zaid meant is that there is a very strong opinion on the pro-Muslim Brotherhood and the Islamists, and some of them who are not Islamists but against the military government, is that I use my satire in order to discredit Morsi, and because of me, he was ousted, and that I have kind of like turned the whole country against him, and I have danced and I sang as people were killed in the Rabi' massacre. This is again a source of propaganda because first of all, if you have to analyze what they said, they're basically saying that a comedy show that came once a week, that had 1 hour of airtime a week, while they had 5 TV stations that, by the way, they never tell you what they did. The same way that we see here in Israel, right? They never tell you that how I was called an infidel, how I was being attacked, my family were attacked. They were basically calling everybody an infidel, or a traitor, a spy, and they actually sided with the army for the whole of their stay against the the non-Islamist, or the, if you call it, civil or secular. But they had the army turned against them, and then there was of course the Rabaa massacre, and then my show came back 2 months after the massacre, and they would take one clip of my show where we were dancing and talking about what happened, and it's like, oh, he did this, and he's making fun of the people who died. But if you watch the whole episode, I was actually basically making a satire, a satirical take of the whole thing that happened in Egypt in that year. And because of that episode, that they say that I was like insulting the dead, that was the episode that actually led for my cancellation by the military. You see? So this is why they're kind of like both sides. Like at that time, that episode made the military call me as an undercover secret Muslim Brotherhood. So, and the other side said like, I'm like a military asset that was making fun of the dead of the Muslim Brotherhood. So my political perspective didn't change. Their delusion about what happened didn't change. And I think I don't know how to help them see it, because this is the whole idea about echo chamber. It's victimization, lack of accountability. They don't want to admit what they have done actually led to many of the terrible incidents that happened. And at the end of the day, I'm a comedian, man. It's like my ability is to make people laugh, and they would take that as a reason for destroying the government, and that government was too weak to begin with. Yeah.
Thank you, Bاسم. We have 2 more questions.
Oh, hello. I kind of had a question about what it's like to discourse with different kinds of people on media. So for example, I saw your interview with Theo Vaughn, and it was kind of like you were able to reason with him a lot more. He was able to like kind of see your things from your perspective a bit. I was just wondering how different it is, or if it is more frustrating in a sense to discourse with people who are able to understand your perspective on issues like Palestine, but still aren't able to kind of follow through. Is it more frustrating than, for example, debating with Piers Morgan, where you kind of know his perspective and you know kind of what to say?
I didn't get the question. What is more frustrating than the other? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. The acoustics are a little bit challenging. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, I was saying in relation to your interview with Theo Vaughn.
Theo Vaughn, yes.
How is it more I was just wondering, is it more frustrating to debate or reason with people who can understand your perspective?
I got that. Well, Theo Vaughn was not a debate. Theo Vaughn was designed. That he designed it to be the stupid American who had no idea. And Theo Vaughn in person, he's a wonderful person. He has good heart, and he wanted to bring me on in order to give me as much space as possible to talk to his audience. And the audience, Theo Vaughn, if you don't know, he's a very famous American comedian, and his audience are more of like middle America, white, who are usually not engaged or don't have any idea about what happened in the Middle East, or they're very distorted idea. So he was asking me like very simple questions. What is Zionism? What is AIPAC? He was just doing that on purpose in order to give me space. And I really appreciate what he did. So it was not really a debate to get frustrated about. If you saw the interview, he was just like giving me all the time that I needed.
We have one final question.
It has to be good. That's the final question, baby. Everybody will be judging you.
Because remember on the press bench.
It has to be the best question. It will.
Putting a lot of pressure.
The pressure is on you. The pressure is on you. The pressure is on you.
I'm wondering how you see the value of humor now when, traditionally there's this idea that humor is so useful in challenging authorities because it's mocking them, and that's something that, they can't stand. But now we're more and more facing up against powers who perhaps humor means nothing to them because they are so immune and so, disinterested in criticism because they know that nothing can stop them. And I'm thinking of Israeli authorities and, the comedy, the song on Bibi's trial. So I wonder whether you think humor still holds the value that it did when, you could see their pride kind of crumble.
No, I think it's. I think I have a different perspective about humor, especially political humor, because me as a humorist or a comedian, I'm not going there up against the powers because they're too powerful for me. The whole idea about humor, especially political satire, is to strip the power from the fake respect that they demand from people. The authoritarian kind of power, whether that is in the Middle East or the Arab world, which is like truly authoritarian, or in the Europe or in America, which is kind of a hidden authoritarian, the way that they hold space over or hold power over people is that they say, we are this, we are that, we are powerful, we are free, when humor comes in and destroys all of that. So the job of the humor is not to make them crumble, is to show the people that they are lying. So there's too many forms of authority. There's the religious authority, we're with God, and there's the patriotic, the military, we're the country. And they hold these two over you to make you afraid, to make you scared. When you make fun of them, people will laugh at them. And you cannot be scared of something that you're laughing at, right? So that is why Yazid, that's why the Muslim Brotherhood hated me, because they came in with like, God, we are the Muslim Brotherhood, whatever, and then I made fun of them, so people ridiculed them. And this is why I was cancelled by the military, because I started doing the same thing with the military. And the whole idea about them is the respect. You need to respect me because I'm a religious leader, or you need to respect me because I'm a military leader. When you come in and you make fun of them, basically it's the emperor with no clothes. So that is the thing about the humor. You're not doing it to clash with the authority. You make it for the people, to give people ammunition to laugh at them. But at a certain time, my power as a humorist is very limited. Because honestly, I mean, I did that before. I left Egypt, I escaped because it's too risky for me. Because I'm not a freedom fighter. I'm a comedian, and if my comedy ticks off the wrong people, the strong people who can hurt me and my family, I will stop because I'm not a hero. I'm a comedian, and it just happened I pissed some people off. But that's basically and it's not my fault or the satirist's fault, is that those authority give too much weight for you while you're just like making jokes.
On that note, this brings us to the end of our talk. Bassem, thank you so much
much,
again
guys.
for joining us.